Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. So this is the first proper video that I'm going to make on this channel. As I said in my first introductory video, this is going to be all about my journey towards improving at chess, bringing some general chess improvement advice and chess content to you as well. And I decided what would be a better way to start than to show you the first step in my journey, which happened a couple of months ago, and that is the game where I managed to become a candidate master at the Chess Olympiad. So to give you a bit more of context, the way you can achieve this title in a Chess Olympiad is by making a score of 50%. So the truth is, I don't want to put excuses, but whether it be because I was right before the Olympiad in school exams and I didn't play any tournaments for like 3-4 months before the Olympiad, I have to be honest, I wasn't in the best form and I had a really bad start. I threw away some really good positions in some of the previous games, but I managed to get to the situation where if I win a game with black, I will become a candidate master because I would achieve a score of 50%. So I'm in a must-win situation with the black pieces against a 1900, and well, if they play solidly, then it's not going to be that easy, especially with the black pieces. But, of course, I had to put my absolute all into this game. I had to focus as much as possible. And something I was struggling with as well is my opening repertoire. I really only came in with the King's Indian, and my opponent was playing this very annoying line with a double fianchetto idea on the queen side, which, although objectively doesn't pose black many problems, it's not so easy to play for a win if white plays very solidly. And so I decided to come up with this interesting idea. I was scanning all night, what am I going to play? How am I going to get an interesting position? I mean, can you imagine all the pressure that on this one game, basically my whole future of at least becoming a title player depended on this one single game. And so I was thinking what to play, and I managed to find this interesting idea, which the engine doesn't fully approve of, but I had seen some games before and I thought I could get an exciting game here at least and have good winning chances. And the whole idea of this queen maneuver, c6, bringing the queen out, queen h5, is to then exchange the light square bishops and get some kind of play on the king side. And well, thankfully, that's exactly what happened. Although I was a bit concerned at this point already, because I knew the game could be interesting, I knew my opponent could blunder, but I felt like maybe I did something wrong and I already was quite a lot worse with the black pieces. And indeed, the engine says I was right. I did have a bit to worry about, but at the end of the day, I understood that my opponent is not the strongest player, and the game is still completely open for any of us. So rook e4 is already not a very good move, and I was very proud of finding this move g5. It took me a bit of time, but I believe the engine will congratulate me, saying it's the absolute best move, and I was very proud when I found this, with the idea of course, removing this knight, playing g4. I also have some f5 ideas, and you will see a bit later exactly what the point of this move was. And now h3, once again, everything that I had hoped for came true. My opponent played two suboptimal moves in a row, and now if I manage to convert precisely, then I already have very good winning chances, and everything turned out exactly as I wanted it to turn out. So here I play f5, and now what is the problem? Well, if he takes, which is essentially the only move, well, if he plays rook e1 back, then I have g4. And I'm already breaking through on the king side with these pawns. My rook might open up, and my pieces are very well positioned, and I have very good winning chances in this position. And so f5, I played the correct move, and he played e takes f6, knight takes f6, and suddenly my pieces are all in the game. The f file is open, I can now double, and I was already feeling very optimistic about my chances in this position. So he plays the rook back to e1, which, well, makes sense, it's the only real move. And here maybe I played a bit imprecisely, but I saw the time that my opponent had left on his clock, and I had calculated this move g4, but there was some very specific line where I wasn't sure what to do that I calculated. And I thought rook f7, without thinking too much about it, doubling rooks would give me good practical chances. Now, maybe this is not the correct approach, but I was also very nervous during this game, as I already mentioned to you the circumstances surrounding this game, and so I decided to make some quick practical moves. And here I think, yes, I made a very bad decision. Knight d3 was objectively maybe even winning already. The issue is, I was somehow concerned that this knight would get trapped. I didn't think he was going to play rook e1. I thought he was going to play something like here. And I didn't fully calculate knight takes f2 until the very end. I thought this could give me good chances, and I saw this move, but somehow I didn't evaluate it correctly, and I didn't go for this. Instead, I brought the knight back to a6, where it's somewhat outside the game already, and my attack isn't really that alive anymore. But my opponent was also very nervous. He was already getting into time trouble as well, and thankfully he made some bad decisions later on. So knight h2, of course I cannot exchange queens. If I exchange queens, all my real attacking chances, especially in his time trouble, they would disappear. So queen g6 is the logical move, queen b1, and once again, I played queen h6. The engine says it's a mistake. Objectively, it's of course right. The problem is, as I mentioned before, if I trade queens, rook takes b1, and now suddenly, where's my attack? I am in a slightly worse endgame, where I might make a draw, but I'd rather lose than make a draw, right? Because with a draw, I would not achieve my title of candidate master. So because of this, I played queen h6, knight e4, and the mistakes were both nervous. They come one after another. Rook f8 makes sense. I'm doubling. If he takes, I'm going to take back with the rook, and I'm pressuring him on the king side. So now I'm just making moves, trying to provoke some weaknesses, get him into trouble. He takes on f6. Apparently, e takes f6 was better. Bishop takes f6 made a lot of sense to me as well. Queen e4, knight c7, trying to get the pieces back into the game somehow. And it's a very tense situation. I didn't really care about the objective evaluation. The main point here, in these kinds of positions, especially at a slightly lower level, we're not grandmasters at the end of the day, is who will make the first major blunder. And so I just try to keep the tension, provoke him into making some more mistakes, and eventually this allowed me to win the game. So rook d1, d5, playing in the center, queen d3, rook g7, and here he played g4, which was a very big mistake, creating these weaknesses which my knight could later come into and make use of. So queen f7, knight f1, knight e6. My knight is getting into the square, and my opponent got so scared of my knight having an outpost on f4 that he decided to sack the exchange. But this is already losing for him. Now after rook e1, dc4, I didn't think much about this move. I thought it makes sense. Opening the d file, exchanging a pair of pawns. I'm up in exchange. So he took back. Now I removed the queen, and now I'm in a position where already I am up in exchange, I'm up on time, and I should have good winning chances. And I was feeling very optimistic here. Although I was very nervous, I was feeling good, and I was walking around the playing hall out of nervousness, you know, like chess players do. You make the move, you stand up, walk a couple of rounds, and we were some of the last games that were left in the tournament was me. This was the last round of the Olympiad. I was walking circles along the playing hall with none other than Anish Giri himself. So that was just a very memorable experience. Knight h5, of course, trying to get rid of this bishop possibly. So that's exactly what he did. And now the final mistake, d5. Why is this such a big deal? Well, he's just giving up this pawn. And things like queen d4 to try to make some threats, they don't really work. He has nothing available in this position. This was just a last desperate attempt. So I played rook takes f3, queen d4, and here apparently I shouldn't have been concerned, and I could have just immediately won the game with c takes d5 because of the, c takes d5, not e takes d5, because that opens up the e file. And now queen h8 check just does absolutely nothing. King f7, queen g7 check, I just run to e8, this pawn covers the rook, and my opponent has no attack left. But of course I was very nervous, and I decided I would still be up a pawn and have a good advantage if I just took the bishop on c3. And of course I gave up a lot of my objective advantage, but at least now I'm up a pawn, impossible to lose. His king is more exposed than mine, and I was still feeling very optimistic. So queen e5, already the final mistake. I played dc4, and now the king is just too exposed and I'm up too many pawns on the queen side. Queen takes g5, queen g7. I am up all these pawns, and it's move 40, so we both made time control. We're going to get an extra half an hour on the clock, but queen f7 and rook e7 was the final mistake. Now, queen f3 check, king h2, and it seemed like I had a forcing checkmate sequence, which maybe wasn't that difficult to spot with queen f4 check, but the engine doesn't see it immediately either. It says mate in 15. Obviously, I'm not going to calculate a mate in 15. I decided to make the practical choice, play queen f2 check, and now obviously there's absolutely no way that I'm not going to win this endgame up 2 extra pawns. So I defended this pawn. I don't want to take here and allow him to take here, where my pawns would be separated. I should still be winning, but that would make my task a little bit more difficult. So I played rook b7, and the rest was just history. My opponent played on a bit too long. Maybe I think it was already time to resign. There was no way I was going to mess this position up. I've messed up bad positions in the past, just like we all have, but this would have been a bit too much. So I was a bit annoyed that he played on so long. I wanted to enjoy my last day in Budapest, but okay. It just made the feeling of winning and achieving this title all the more pleasant. And this was truly the best feeling I've ever had. All my future of getting a title depended on this one game, and when I managed to succeed, I mean, it was just the most amazing feeling ever. So I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you will subscribe so that you can join me in my journey to becoming a chess grandmaster, and I will see you all on my next video. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.